The book of the Revelation to John is one of the most confusing books in the Bible. While it is commonly believed that Revelation was written by John, the disciple whom Jesus loved, scholars do not all agree on this. Some scholars say that a different John wrote the book of Revelation because the greeting at the beginning of the book does not express any specific details about the author. It is believed that John wrote this book while he was imprisoned on the island of Patmos in the mid-90s AD, during a time when there is increasing tension between the Roman Empire and Christianity. Revelation is a book in the apocalyptic genre, which comes from the Greek word apocalypsis, meaning disclosure or unveiling. Revelation starts out with the author saying that this book is a prophecy that was made known to him by the angel of the Lord. The first 3 chapters are greetings and letters to the 7 churches in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. Chapter 4 begins the vision in the throne room, which sets up chapter 5. These 2 chapters show the contrast between the glory of God and the sinfulness of man. They also show that no one but God is worthy, not even the angels and magnificent creatures standing in the throne room of the Lord.
Revelation 5 begins with a scroll in the right hand of the one who is seated on the throne, who is God the Father. This scroll represents his complete plan for justice, redemption, and the future of the world. No one in heaven or on earth is worthy to open it, which shows that humanity and all created beings are powerless to bring God's plan to fulfillment. John weeps when he hears this. However, the elders proclaim that the Lion of the tribe of Judah has conquered, and as such is worthy to open the scroll. Then the Lion appears between the 4 living beings and the throne, but not as the expected conquering lion, but as a lamb who appears to be slain, having 7 eyes and 7 horns. This reveals the central theological insight of the passage, however. Christ conquers not through force, but through sacrifice. His death and resurrection are the very reason he is worthy to open the scroll. The 7 horns and 7 eyes emphasize his perfect power and perfect knowledge, connected to the fullness of God's Spirit. The heart of this passage is Christ's worthiness. No one in heaven or on earth can open God's scroll, showing that creation cannot accomplish God's plan on its own. But Christ is worthy to open the scroll and worthy to receive worship, because he was slain for his people. His sacrificial death is the very reason all of heaven and earth praise him. His authority flows not from force, but from his self-giving love.
There are a few key literary features that we must recognize when reading Revelation chapter 5. First is the repetition of numbers and figures. We can see that the number 7 is repeated in this passage. Throughout the scriptures, we find that the number 7 actually represents completion. We can trace this all the way back to Genesis 2, in which God rests from his work on the 7th day. He rested because he was finished. The heavens and the earth were finished. So when we are told that the scroll has 7 seals, it means that this scroll, when opened, will bring about the finishing of God's redemptive plan for all humanity. Another repeated concept we find in Revelation chapter 5 is the figures. These are the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders. There's a lot of theory surrounding exactly what the 4 living creatures are. They could be the seraphim from Isaiah 6 or the cherubim from Ezekiel 1 and 10, and the 24 elders could be half representatives of the 12 tribes of Judah and then half the 12 apostles. And though these observations could be very true, what we know to be absolutely true is that in this scene, they are all fallen down before the Lamb, worshiping and singing a new song to him and him only. Speaking of the Lamb who was slain, that is the last literary feature of this text. It is the imagery found in the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, and the Lamb who was slain. The picture of a lion is one of might, strength, and victory, and to call him the root of David is to remind us that this is the prophesied Messiah spoken of in all the scriptures. But after the elder tells John that this mighty lion is the only one able to open the scroll, John sees a lamb. A lamb as though it had been slain. A lamb is a young sheep, a defenseless animal against predators, and he is slain, showing that this lamb was subject to its predator's attack. But in his slaughtering, we find the conquering power of the blood of the lamb. So looking at the literary features, we see that there's a finishing act about to happen. The conquering lion, slain as a lamb, is coming to finish what he started on that cross.
So, what is the modern relevance and practical application that we can glean from Revelation 5? First, Revelation 5 reveals to believers throughout time a vision of final victory in Jesus. We see in this passage that the Lion of Judah has triumphed. This ultimate hope should be an encouragement to us in all circumstances. No matter what happens to us, we know that Jesus has already triumphed. Directly connected to Jesus' triumph is the theme of worship. Consider verse 12, which says, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and praise." It is clear that Jesus has triumphed through his death, and because of this, he is worthy of all glory and all praise. In other words, this passage calls us to worship Jesus. This is also expounded in verses 9 and 10. Verse 9 says that Jesus purchased for God with his blood persons from every tribe and language of the world. Verse 10 tells us what we were purchased for. It says, "You have made them to be a kingdom and priests to serve our God, and they will reign on the earth." Clearly then, Jesus is worthy of our worship, and we are called to worship and to service in his kingdom. So, what is the practical application of Revelation 5? It's this: we should rejoice and take hope in Jesus' victory, and we should worship Jesus and serve him in all circumstances, because he is worthy of all glory and all praise.